I knew that I had transferable skills, but I wasn't confident in maybe translating that within the social sector. I started my career in a more traditional commercial settings and banking environment. I built for over a decade relationship management skills and, learning a lot about risks and financial decision making. And it made technical sense, obviously funded a lifestyle that I was living. I will confess that I was never one of these individuals that was very clear on what career path they were going to enter into. But over time, I realized that there was a part of it that didn't quite fully align with what motivated me personally. I felt it needed to work closer with people, communities. And it's no judgment to anyone that works in the financial sector. But for me, there was something missing and I didn't quite know how to pursue that. That uncertainty, was probably the biggest thing that held me back. And then I thought, right, let's have a conversation with a sector specialist. And I came across Sheena, and it wasn't like a typical, what job are you looking for? What's your skills? What do you want to do? What salary? It was more like, well, tell me about you. Who's Marti? What's important to me? What interests you? And that really sparked, my whole appetite. And I knew that that was the beginning of the correct path for me. I've always volunteered with several charities, one of which is in Birmingham, where they support the homeless. So I'd go anything from, helping them serve food, arranging clothes that comes in that's been donated, or just a chit chat. One of the conversations I had with the head of operations at that charity was actually, aside from doing the output, there's a lot of governance, planning, budgets, policies that they had to adhere to and deliver certain, dare I say, targets or measures. So I guess it's that exposure and understanding exactly that a charity, for example, was no different to a for-profit organization. It really opened my eyes because I thought that people that worked within the social sector was people that just volunteered. Actually, there's all sorts of careers that you can enter into. I'd say it took maybe a year before I was courageous enough to actually apply for a job within the sector. Because part of me was a little bit doubtful, thinking, well, they're not going to hire somebody that's never worked within the sector, clearly worked for a commercial bank. And then when I spoke to an expert like Sheena, she gave me a lot more encouragement to say, actually, Marti, you have got a lot of transferable skills. Whatever role you're in at the moment, or whatever sector or industry, there is always something that you would be able to transfer across and would be valuable. Be bold and brave about your abilities. If there is something that doesn't quite sit and you're curious about something, don't hesitate to ask. Drop somebody a line on LinkedIn that perhaps works within the sector. Fortunately now, a lot of organizations provide what they call social impact reports. But more importantly is actually speak with an expert like Careers for Change. It's never boring. I work closely with charities and social enterprises at a really pivotal moments in their journey. To be able to speak to really inspirational people and organizations, I think is a privilege. It's an honor. It gives you butterflies in your stomach when you think, right, I was part of helping them home the most vulnerable members of their community, for example. Of course, we can't support everybody, but often I find in my previous roles, it was like they wanted to tell you things because they had to do a tick box exercise. In this case, they are very open and honest. This is a very human, very real situation. And I prefer that level of engagement. Historically, if I ever came across an organization that needed support and it didn't fit our criteria, whatever it was, I couldn't just go and signpost them to another financial institution because there was always things like competition laws, et cetera, et cetera. In this sector, they encourage sharing best practice. The thing that is, you said about more challenging, I dislike when it's not something that you can support. Once you've already had exposure about the challenges they have and budget cuts. It's quite upsetting because the demand is constantly growing and yet the resource available is very, very limited. But what I would say as a consolation is that I'm able to work with other amazing social investors out there that can support them.